Is Gal Gohan worth your time, or is it just a load of stale old bread? Join me and find out. Hello and welcome to That Man. That is my merchandise, and today we are looking at Gal Gohan, published by 7 Seas, story and art by Marie Tayu. Now, this is an interesting title because this is one in many that I've been reading over the last few days that cover Gal girls. Or Gyaru girls. I don't know if I pronounced that right. It doesn't really matter. Now, in Japan there is this subculture, there is this culture of Gal girls, which is basically girls looking like Americans? I don't really understand it. It's one of those weird things where it's kind of like over there it's like, oh, it's this weird culture, it's this unique style and stuff like that, and I'm just looking at it just like, it's just a blonde girl. In anime, most of them tend to be portrayed as being blonde, a little bit of delinquents, a little bit spicy, but that's about it. And that's why I couldn't understand when I picked up Gal Gohan. I wasn't sure what this was meant to be. Was it supposed to be a whole kind of, oh well, she's supposed to be like all sexual and all kind of flirty and stuff like that, or is it just a Gohan from Dragon Ball Z, or it's a Gal? Turns out Gohan means meal or cooked rice or something like that, cooked meal. But essentially this is the story of an ordinary girl who cooks food. Yeah. So, a little bit of history. In anime and manga, Gal girls tend to be portrayed as flirty or very sexual, or kind of what we would classify as bimbos. And that's what they're trying to get at with this series. Now, I have read 2 other series recently, which include Please Tell Me Galko-chan, which is the one I always think a lot of people think of when they think of Gal girls, and After School Witchcraft, because I'm not saying the normal word because that'll get demonetized. And so Gal Girl, I was kind of interested in what it was. I'm not gonna lie, initial thoughts looking at this cover, what are you thinking it is? If you thought ecchi, you'd be on the same page as me. Gal Girl really isn't an ecchi title. In fact, it's a title that doesn't really know what it wants to be. Why is that? Because it's also a food manga. Now, most people when they think of ecchi food manga, they think of, that's right, Food Wars. In fact, we already have a character in Food Wars who is very much like a Gal girl, called, what is she called, Meat? I want to call her Meat. She was very much the stereotypical best waifu kind of girl that I was going into expecting from Gal Gohan. Gal Gohan tells the story of a young cooking teacher who is wanting to get more people into cooking. He's usually lonely by himself on a night because everyone just goes home and they just don't care. Because, yeah, they want to go home and have fun stories rather than just cooking. He has a knock on the door and there's a young Gal girl who is desperate to make some cookies. He teaches her the step-by-step on how to do cookies, and the first time he does it, they don't come out particularly well. You know what? I was actually reading it and I felt like I'd already read this. The reason being, as I just read My Youth Comedy Is Not As Expected, and they were baking cookies as well. Maybe it's one of those sub things in Japan's school culture that everybody bakes cookies at some point. So the teacher teaches the Gal girl how to bake cookies. And she's all, falling all over the place, and random panty shots, and he's just like, don't look under here, and he's just like, no, I'm not doing that, but he's all flustered because, yeah, this is also a romance, and it's one of those teacher-student romances. Yeah, we can already hear the sirens alarming us straight away. The thing with Gal Gohan is that it doesn't understand what it's trying to be. It portrays itself as an ecchi cooking manga from the cover. Reading it, it gets a little bit more of a romance side to it. A teacher-student romance. So straight away for me, I'm kind of like, no. And that should have sent alarms off straight away for me. It wasn't an ecchi. It was more of a romance, but also, despite it being called Gal Gohan, there's not a huge amount of cooking goes on in it. It's very insulting to the main girl. The main girl is an absolute sweetheart. She's a little bit clumsy, she's a little bit absent-minded. She's not a bad person, but she has that whole aspect of around her of just being, oh well, Gal girls are easy. Something I found out in Gal Gohan as well. And because we don't have that perspective on our end, to me a Gal girl just looks like a girl. It's a blonde girl. That's all it is. Yeah, sometimes they may be portrayed as dressing them more provocatively, but yeah. But Gal Girl really focuses on this and that, oh, well, you can't be cooking. Why? Anyone can cook, if you try. Well, this is like, oh, it's a Gal Girl, can't be cooking. You hang around on street corners, that's what you do. And I was just like, what on earth are you trying to kind of portray it with this? Weird. But that's just because of what we're looking at on the western side of things. In the eastern side of things, because Gal Girls are a unique kind of trend, it's a lot more difficult to kind of portray that. But this series really hammers that home. Also, for a lot of food manga, it doesn't have a lot of food cooking. A few of the chapters are just the two characters going out on a date. Yeah, call the authorities. And they were going out on a date and they're just like, oh, let's have some crepes. And I was like, okay. Let's go. Oh, she's a Gal Girl, she's going to try on all of these cosplays, and you know what? They're all sexy. And I was like, are you trying to be an ecchi or what? I mean, it's kind of like they looked at Food Wars and they thought, oh, well, you know what we need more of? We need more of the clothes exploding kind of thing. Except we'll not have the clothes exploding and we'll not have the ecchi and we'll just have the boob girl. But we'll add more romance. And you know what? This could be a really sweet title. However, I kind of felt that I've seen a lot of the title before and stuff like Sweetness and Lightning. Gal Girl's biggest issue is that it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know whether it wants to be an ecchi. It doesn't know whether it wants to be a food manga. It doesn't know whether to be a romance. And because we don't have that whole aspect of gal culture over here, we kind of struggle as a Western person to understand what it is that they're trying to focus on. Please tell me Gal Gohan worked in this aspect, because we kind of had it as a, oh well, she does dress provocatively, she is quite flirty, and she is kind of like, oh, she is drawn really sexy, whereas this it's not really an ecchi, so it kind of doesn't work in the same way. I don't know. Gal Gohan tried a lot of things, but overall it just came out and it was quite boring. I was really checking the amount of pages that I had to read left. And that was a huge shame, because I was really captivated by the front cover. I was just like, you know what, this could be good. And I do try my best to find the best in everything. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the artwork is quite nice. And the main character, the main female character, she is an absolute sweetheart and will carry, she will absolute carry this title. Gal Gohan is not a great title. It's not a terrible title. I can definitely say I've read a lot worse. But I'm not going to recommend you jump out and collect it. I'm not going to recommend you jump out and buy a lot of them. Unless you have a fetish for gal girls, then you might enjoy it a little bit more. There is a little bit more kind of aspect for that. But really, at the end of the day, if you want that, why aren't you reading? Please tell me Gal Gohan. That's it from me. If you did enjoy this, please leave a like, please consider subscribing, and if you have read it, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for coming, and thanks again for staying. Goodbye.